As Vice Chair of the SAU21 Operations Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the Governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the Governor's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's Emergency Order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the SAU21 Operations Committee have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number: 646-876-9923 and webinar ID 890-3638-0707, or by clicking on the website address which is listed on the agenda. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the SAU21 office at www.sau21.org. If anybody has a problem, please call 603-926-8992 extension 114 or email at dtuite@sau21.org. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law.
Jim Keim,
Present and alone.
Martin Tavisian,
Present and alone.
Jessica Brown,
Present and with family in and out.
Jason Farias,
Present with family in and out.
and Leslie LaFond.
Present alone.
Roll call taken.
Thank you, Deborah. All right, so first on the agenda, here's reorganization. You want me to run through it, Caroline, or do you want to?
So the joint board reorganization, Winnicott is the next board who will have the opportunity to be have a member be the joint board chair. So at the beginning of that meeting, I believe I would start that meeting at
Yes.
that time, because I'm starting the other meetings this month. And so at that point, someone can be nominated, or more than one person can be nominated, and we take the votes from there.
Oh, we do it at the individual district meetings. We actually do the voting for the.
Well, you'll do reorganizations for, yes, we'll do reorganizations at all the individual district meetings.
Right.
For your joint board chairs. However, at your school board chairs. However, at the joint board, it's Winnicott's turn to lead the joint board.
Mhm.
So at that time, there can be a nomination for someone on the Winnicott board to be the joint board chair.
Okay.
Was that clear as mud?
And I take it likewise for the vice chair. So
Correct.
Hampton Falls will nominate somebody and Winnicott nominate somebody. Great.
That's right.
At the next joint board meeting. Okay.
And then there's a vote, and then hopefully not a global pandemic right afterwards, which is what I got to deal with.
Makes sense. All right. The variant.
Right. Yeah, you didn't know what you signed up for there.
All right. Next is the approval of minutes from October 6, 2020. Does anybody have any
Make a motion
comments?
that we approve the minutes.
Right. Is there a second?
Second.
Is that Martin?
Yes.
Okay. Jim Keim,
Yes.
Martin Tavisian, Jessica Brown, Jessica, I didn't hear you. I think it's muted or something. I do know that you're acknowledging, so I'm just gonna put yes. Jason Farias,
I'll abstain.
okay, and Leslie LaFond.
Yes.
Vote taken.
Great, thank you. Next is for action items is the policy second read and adoption.
Yes, so these policies you've all seen at your school board meetings, and we'd like to bring them on for second read and adoption at the joint board.
Does anybody have any comments?
No, I recommend we move forward with the second read and adoption to the March 23rd joint board meeting.
I'll second that.
Deb, now you're muted.
Jim Keim,
Yes.
Martin Tavician,
Yes.
Jessica Brown,
Yes.
Jason Farias,
Yes.
and Leslie LaFond.
Yes.
Vote taken.
Great. Next is a 2021-22 calendar revision.
Yes, thank you. So in February, we were informed by the New Hampshire Department of Education that they were recommending that districts change the week that they had originally recommended for the February break. So they had originally recommended the week that begins with February 21st, and they're recommending that we move it to February 28th. We've learned that both Maine and Massachusetts have the week of February 21st, and that most districts are moving their weeks to the 28th. We agree that this is a good idea for a few reasons. One, it's historically better for New Hampshire residents to not have the same week as Maine and Massachusetts for planning purposes. In addition, SAU20 has already moved to February 28th, so we share a lot of families there with Hampton and Winnicott. Also, I received confirmation that SAU16 is moving their week to the 28th, and our students from Winnicott attend SST, which is in SAU16. So unfortunately, this is later than we like. We pride ourselves on having a calendar approved early in the year for the following year. But unfortunately, this is upon us. So we recommend to revise the calendar.
I would agree with the methodology here. I mean, it makes sense, especially since the other bordering towns seem to have gone that way already. Does anybody?
I agree.
All right.
You
Can
want
I get a motion
move
to?
it forward?
Yes, please.
Motion to move forward the 21-22 calendar to the joint board for approval.
I'll second that.
Jason,
Yes, please.
thank you. Jim Keim,
Yes.
Martin Tavician,
Yes.
Jessica Brown,
Yes.
Jason Farias,
Yes.
Fond.
Yes.
Vote taken.
Great. Next is the SAU window and siding bids. Matt, do you want to run through this?
Yeah, so the last two budget years, we had set aside funds to go toward this project. So the project is to replace all the SAU offices windows, and currently the exterior siding is a wood is a wood clapboard. We're replacing that with vinyl siding. So we did conduct the RFP process, and we are recommending award of bid to Ridge Runner at just under $76,000, and which is within in the range that we had estimated that this project would cost. And we do have the available funds that we had set aside. So we are recommending to bring this forth to the joint board at the next meeting.
Yeah, this is Matt, this is long overdue if I remember right. This is like 15 years in the making.
Well, it's.
I can remember
No,
talking
I
about
mean,
this with teachers when I
so
was when it
it's
cut.
the windows don't open.
Yeah,
So I get, so that's the biggest issue from a, from a safety perspective. The windows are over 30 years old, so they've reached end of life anyway, but they're not currently functioning. If Rhonda was here, I'm sure she'd have a lot to say about that because she complains to me on a daily basis about her window not working. And then the siding, we have some rot. So, and that's been fairly recent, the last couple of years that we identified that. And if you just look at it, you can tell that it needs to be addressed. So now it's been 3 years when we developed this plan. We were looking at the siding first because of the rot. We saw that as like the more immediate need, so that we didn't incur additional damage. But then we realized, well, it makes more sense. Actually, it was Mike Chase from Seabrook suggested that we do the windows first or in conjunction with the siding, because you actually have to take some of the siding off to install the window. So it just made more sense to combine these projects.
Right.
So that's when we kind of put the two together and brought it forth. So it's been a couple of years that we've been working on this, and it's been. I will say we had to go through the RFP process a couple of times because the first round wasn't satisfactory as far as what the results were. There's a lot of work out there for these companies, so we're really happy that we were able to get some results eventually that were within what we expected from a cost standpoint.
great.
Can I get a motion to move forward the recommendation of the window and siding project to the joint board for approval?
I'll make a motion to move forward with the window and siding project for the 2020-21 school year.
Second that.
Jim Keim,
Yes.
Martin Tavishian,
Yes.
Jessica Brown,
Yes.
Jason Farias,
Yes.
and Leslie LaFond.
Yes.
Vote taken.
Great. Thank you. Next, the presentation on equity. Caroline, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, thank you. So our boards approved the equity policy in January of this year. And so what we would like to do is present to the joint board our progress on those goals. Dr. Hobbs has been the lead on the curriculum work as far as professional development for our staff. We have teachers and students who are part of our committees for different aspects of this work. So we would like to have a collaborative presentation for you for the joint board to keep everybody up to speed with regards to our progress with equity and diversity.
Yeah, and just to kind of compound on that, during the superintendent search, as we've done surveys, this has been a pretty high ranking topic. So I definitely think it's something that would be important for the joint board to hear where the SAU's at.
So this item is informational.
Okay.
Um,
Do you
but we-
need our approval to bring it forward? Do you want our approval to bring it forward, or just, I think you should just bring it forward?
I always appreciate approval, but I don't think you need to vote.
Yeah, I think you got our approval.
Yeah, I thought it'd be an interesting one. I think we all think it's going to be an interesting one for people to hear. So,
And jokes aside, seriously, people come from different perspectives on this. So it is really important for us to make sure that we're being transparent about the whole process. David, I don't know if you want to add to that.
I mean, you summed it up. I think one of the things that is going to get highlighted in the presentation is coming off, this is a longer term effort, but coming off the professional development day we just had on March 9th, I think we've got a groundswell of students and staff that are interested in talking about this and getting things together in terms of a strategic plan. So I think it's timely, and I think it'll be reflective of some of the excitement that's going on.
Awesome. Next is the process for the interim superintendent search. Superintendent goals and evaluation. Want me to talk about it? You want to talk about it?
Well, I can say, I approached Jim about this in January, saying, okay, so, this is a 6-month term, interim superintendent term. However, I think it's still important for the interim superintendent to have goals, so I can be accountable to some progress in certain areas in particular. So I drafted some goals and I attached them to this, realizing that if we waited for the joint board meeting to put those forward, half of the term would be over. So I did send those to Jim in January. So he's seen them, and I've been working toward them thus far. As far as the evaluation process, that is, that's up for discussion, up for the board. I'm not sure if it's feasible for the board to go through the whole process as in years past with year-long superintendents. I'm not sure. So that's up for discussion.
Yeah, this was an interesting year, obviously, especially given the change at the beginning of January, and it's when kids really, certain buildings and schools had been in school, and other ones came in very quickly thereafter when Dr. Arkelian stepped in, and so we kind of went through and said, all right, it's a 6-month role, and let's try to find stuff that's really identifiable, but also valuable to the SAU. And so I was pretty happy with where we settled, but ultimately we'll bring that to the joint board March 23rd. But she's been working on it, as she said, for a couple months now towards these.
I definitely think that you have, Caroline. And Jim, did you, while you were crafting these, also have in mind how you were going to measure them? And just curious.
So that's the hard part. It's like, how do you? Right. Yeah. So typically in the past, we've done. There's been a board wide for all school board members. There's been a survey that goes out against a much larger set of goals, and it was kind of interesting this year and how to to do that. I think we'd be open to do that survey against this criteria, and and if anybody gave any other feedback, we could open that up. I know Caroline loves feedback, so
Right.
I think she'd definitely be open to that. But it's I also thought, just given the short time horizon, having a targeted set was probably more efficient than trying to come up with a real broad set goal. That's kind of hard, right, given the circumstances. So
there's enough work in satisfying these or working towards these, clearly.
Yeah, so I think we clearly could do a survey based against these, and maybe even kind of break it up within some of the goals, a couple questions within that, which would be great feedback for her. And historically, the way those surveys work, just so everybody knows, is I think everybody does know, but it's the existing board members who will do that. People who just got voted in don't participate in that.
Great.
If we're all standing, you've done your job. How's that? If we're all still alive and still here, Caroline, you got it.
Absolutely.
I'm counted in that too, I think.
Yeah, so, yeah, I figure if we can survive this past year, hello.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So would we, just curious about the process, is that something, Jim, that you would spearhead, or is that we would discuss it, or?
So I won't be the joint board chair anymore. So I ultimately think I think we've set the criteria,
Okay.
which the new joint board chair would determine the right methodology for or work with the joint board and
Good.
Caroline to identify what the right process is. That makes sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Great. So for future meetings, obviously the big one is the SAU21 joint board meeting on the 23rd at 6 o'clock. And then after that, there's the policy meeting on April 14th at 4:30. The operations committee meeting on May 4th at 5:30. And then the next joint board meeting would be May 25th at 6 o'clock. And as Dr. Killian said earlier, all the boards get reorganized based on the votes and such. So, you know, the membership of who's attending what other than the joint board meetings will be determined at the next board meetings for the individual districts.
Perfect.
I don't believe we have anything under the non-public.
Correct.
And before we adjourn, does anybody have anything before we have? Yeah. Are we good?
We're good.
Oh, great. Can I get a motion to adjourn, Leslie?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.
Good
You
night.
too.